see you on the other side in a second. 1 second.
Good.
All right, everybody. This is Nicholas Acosta, host and producer of the podcast Home to All, a real estate podcast, an all-inclusive real estate podcast. Today, again, we are in our COVID-19 mode where I'm talking with business owners in the community and around the world and the country, basically how businesses are being impacted by COVID-19. And for that today, everybody, I have a very awesome guest with me, Marianne Weiler with Weiler International. Marianne, how's it going today?
Hi, Nick. Thanks for having me on your show. Doing well. How are you?
No problem. I'm glad that you I'm very appreciative that you accepted the offer to come on the show. And we're doing well here too. Lee and I are doing well with the dogs, and actually
Good.
feel like I'm getting a little bit of vibrancy back today for the first time in a while, just kind of learning to live with the new times that we live in. So
Yes, very true.
So Marianne, explain to the audience exactly what you do and your business, and then later on, like I said, I can bring up your website so everybody can see.
Yeah, sure. So as Nick said, my name is Marianne Weiler. I'm the owner and principal of Weiler International, and I am an executive in business management and marketing. I've held a number of corporate roles. My most recent role was as the marketing executive for a global real estate company, a luxury real estate company in New York. And I've decided to start out on my own, consulting executive teams and broker owners with their business management, and really going into three buckets, I would call it. And the first bucket, I call it the SOS system. And the first bucket really is stabilizing the business, which is probably right now what most broker owners and executive teams are dealing with. Unfortunately, with what we're going through, that's my stabilizing part of what I do. My second part is optimizing and streamlining businesses. And the third is to sustain your business and really sustainable success overall.
Oh, that's awesome that I was looking through your website and doing research on you, and it's amazing what you do, and it's very, very professional and very, very high level of quality for sure. That what you do and you offer.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, everybody just let you know. I got to meet Marianne one time so far in person was at the Citrus Club, well before we went into quarantine. But we'll have to get together for sure again in person when we get the all clear, obviously. So Marianne, just so to let them know, so obviously with COVID-19 and all that, and we're all adapting to like the Zoom environment, Facebook Live, I know you probably have done that stuff before, and I know I've done it as well before. And now with, like employees of companies that are stuck, that are not allowed to go in the office anymore because of social distancing, or they are on one of those schedules. Like I have a client of mine that works for the county, and 1 week they work at home and 1 week we work in the office. So they rotate the employees. Obviously nowadays, more and more people, without having the supervision of a manager in an office, seeing what they're doing on their phone or computer, because they're obviously using their personal computers sometimes, or their phones. More people are on, Facebook and Zoom and things like that. In terms of what you offer in your businesses, how crucial is it right now for business owners, for instance, like myself, or any other realtors or any other business, to invest in themselves, invest in their company with marketing and their strategies to stay afloat and stay relevant in today's economy?
I think that's huge. Talking about marketing, I think while, the initial thought might be, oh, let's stop marketing, or perhaps even just trying to deal with what's going on in everybody's life, my marketing might take a back seat, right? We need a moment to kind of understand what's happening around us. And I think a lot of people are still in that moment of grief and perhaps in a way shock of what is happening. But at the same time, marketing right now with the right message, I might add, is still crucial, as is relationship building. And I'm a big believer that now is the time to show your leadership. And in real estate, and we know we are both working with the real estate world, that there are so many new realities, whether you are talking to agents who are potentially struggling with the virtual world because there might be tools through their brokerage but have probably not relied as heavily, or the majority hasn't relied as heavily on those tools. Then you have employees that are used to working out of offices that are now at home. Some of them might be dealing, with homeschooling their children or taking care of elderly. So I really feel that you have to look at each individual situation and say, what is it that I can do to really pivot? And how, as a broker owner and executive team, how can I be that leader for the people that are relying on me? And that is, those are the agents, it's the employees, it's the vendors, right? It's all, we're all interconnected. At the end of the day, we are all interconnected. So if we as brokers are not doing well, the vendors that we have, the employees that we employ, the agents. So really, as an executive team, I feel that one of the big takeaways of this is, how can I be there for the people that are relying on me, and how can I rise above this where I am not being carried away by negative news and and just the pure reality of what is going on. So I have my own strategies of how I am dealing with the situation, and if you'd like, I'd be happy to kind of go into that a little bit.
No, definitely. You bring up a good point, I guess, and this is awesome that we're on the same wavelength, which I have no doubt that we were to begin with. But I really liked what you brought up about the negativity in the media. Mostly, a lot of people get their news from Facebook feeds and all that stuff. I couldn't agree more with you than that. So yeah, definitely let's go into that. Explain what you're telling us about that, because it's really important that we need to embrace the change that's happening in order for us to survive.
Yeah, it's good and important to be informed, right? You don't want to be clueless, obviously, of what is happening. But at the same time, you have to focus on what you can control. If you want to have, your mind in a place where you can deal with what we are all dealing with in one way or another, individual cases. So really, for me, that is my first thing. I am trying to focus on the things that I have in my control. And that is, I found for me right now, this is the time to really take care of myself, because meaning, I'm meditating, I'm going for walks, and, you mentioned your dogs, like just fresh air, of course, the social distancing, but it gives me a clear mind. It really gives me a moment to create in a pause and figure out what it is that I want to create and how I can have an impact with what I'm doing. So that to me has become crucial, really, to start off my day, because if I am depleted and if I am ran by fear, I am not producing anything positive. And I believe that that is true for a lot of people, that when you focus on the things that you can step by step, just take the next step. Don't think about the next 10 steps, but try and go one step at a time, and figuring out and being in a place where you are not overran by fear, but actually somewhat of a calmer place to say, okay, what can I do? And then you can think clearly. That's where it really all starts with me right now. And as a second, really thing that I've been starting to do much more so is I learn as much as possible. This is the moment for me to really, you have companies offering courses, you have speakers that you would never see or hear, that you will pay thousands of dollars for. Companies are offering tools for free or for very low fees, and really understanding, like, what do I still have to learn? How can I grow professionally and personally? Because at the end of the day, it all comes together. So just bringing myself from a growth perspective to that next level, I feel is very relevant for the real estate as well, because perhaps you haven't embraced video as an agent, or you have not embraced as much as an executive team to communicate with your team virtually. Now is the time, and now is the time to learn how to do that, and really being consistent in your communication, where the people that are relying on you feel that you got this, right? You inspire them to follow you.
I couldn't agree any more with you on that. Definitely, she brings up a great point. Like, yeah, since just to get into my own personal thing that's going on, I know I shared with some stuff with you personally about what I've been doing during this time. For instance, the Graduate Realtor Institute certification designation. Once this all started, when we started to go into quarantine, just like you were talking to everybody that's listening and watching today, about the importance of finding out, making sure that you get any additional designation certifications. This is the time. Now we're not allowed to, technically be close to each other in like a traditional open house, or within a certain range, distance of each other, at least no less than 6 feet apart. Now's the time. Like, I reevaluated everything when this all happened. At first, it was like a little bit nervous. Obviously, that's normal. We're human. Fear can trigger some emotion. But at the same time, I was like, no, let's, like we're talking about, Marion, I took it as an opportunity now to get my designations. I worked on a designation and a certification during this time. And just before I joined the call with you today, I was doing the clarifying service animals through Florida Realtors training through Orlando Realtor Association for 3 hours on a virtual, or what do you want to call it, a Zoom call or a Zoom meeting. So I've definitely taken that embrace. And even though I do a lot of video stuff, I've taken the opportunity to continue to study and practice on a daily basis, because yes, there is going to be a time where we get to be face to face again. And I don't know if you remember this, the last time we had an economic recession around 2008, most of, like, in terms of, when back then, before, a lot of less people were using, let's just for example, and this is important because for real estate business as well, but in terms of retail, just as an example, not a lot of people were using Amazon, for instance, to order supplies or products, clothes, or whatever you want to say, or whatever your needs to buy. They were still going in the stores. But when the economy tanked back then, Amazon became relevant and more people were using that as a source to buy merchandise than going to the store. So the same thing, just to relate, can happen in terms of with real estate. That yes, they're going to still need us as a realtor or an agent or whatever the case may be, or the brokers or anything like that, because we are vital to this. So don't take it as a thing to be scared of. Take it as this is an opportunity to add the video or audio or podcast component to your business, and also to your like your employees or your colleagues to communicate with each other, because now it's going to have to be where you do your face-to-face business, but you have to incorporate video as well as podcasting or radio or whatever you want to, whatever kind of other media platform that it is very important. Do you agree with that?
I do. And I think actually two things. One is with video, perhaps sometimes there, even with things, virtual tools, there's a certain level of fear that I've experienced with agents that I've been working with, those that are not used to these kinds of technologies, right? And so stepping outside of your comfort zone, really, and as silly as that sounds at first, right? Because we're talking video, once you've done this, it really comes rather natural. And I think now more than ever, it doesn't have to be perfect, right? Sometimes it's more of, I want to see who Nick is, right? I want to experience who you are as an agent, and not just anything that you've written on your blog or in your marketing materials. But I believe that sometimes that fear to actually do it holds agents back. And there again, the executive teams and the broker owners, the leadership team, really to provide easy to use tools that the agents can easily do, or providing support for them in some way, so they go over that hump to say, I'm going to try this. And I personally believe the virtual world is here to stay. I do believe across industries, and I believe in real estate particularly, there will be that component that is strengthened after we all hopefully will get out of this rather sooner than later. But I do believe that the environment and the market and the industry overall will be somewhat changed. I don't believe that we're going back to just the normal in quotes.
No, I completely, I agree with you. I've worked, and I'm sure I know you have too in the past. I worked in the corporate, before I got into real estate, for about 20 years. I was in the corporate world where I was an insurance adjuster, personal injury adjuster for a big insurance company that's national, not nationwide, like a huge company, is whatever you want to say. For instance, when I remember talking about virtual stuff, there was a time when you would travel to their headquarters in Ohio and like in Cleveland,
Mm-hmm.
and then in person. And then over the years, even before COVID-19 and quarantine requirements, over time they were adapting to webinars or what's called. I see this a lot on. I'm sure you've seen this. I've been reading online on certain. I think it was Inman.com. They may have mentioned this, or as NBC.com or something like that, NBC News. They're talking about how brokerages now need to sign up or create the intranet, not internet, but intranet, to be able to have a place to put all their training tools and documents like PDF documents on there. So basically, taking a traditional brokerage like one of the big companies that have been around forever, and having them to have to adapt to like intranet. Like for instance, I'll just mention I work with my brokerage is eXp Realty. We're a cloud-based brokerage, and for instance, with us, we can go to what's called eXp World and go to all these training classes, et cetera, et cetera. So I've seen that evolution per se, even before COVID-19. The companies are already starting to go to like an intranet-based platform, and also have trainings remotely on webinars versus paying the expenses for your hotel, your airline ticket, and things like that. So yeah, I mean, have you experienced that as well?
I have, and I believe even now I'm in more of the consulting world now, and even with that, it adds a layer of convenience when you can do things remotely or virtually versus flying all over the place to visit clients. Of course, that is still a component of it, but the webinars, the Zooms, or other technology that really allows to feel like face to face and almost feel like you are there and you're sharing documents and things of that nature, certainly adds a level of convenience. And you can be literally everywhere. And I believe, like, I've been very focused on the luxury arm of real estate and other industries. And when it comes to luxury, oftentimes you have clients that might have a house overseas, or they might have multiple locations. And so having really a roundup offering, and having those virtual tools and having the connections is critically important, because the home, wherever you are located or wherever there's their first residence is not the end of that relationship. It's really the beginning.
I completely agree with that. So speaking of, when we're talking, Marion's talking about the Zooms of the world, the Zooms platform that we're currently using to bring you this Facebook Live today. I'm going to actually do the thing I told you about before we got on today, share my screen, and then that way you guys can see Marion's updated, really, really beautiful website that she's got. I'm going to go ahead and do this. And I've done this before, but let me make sure hopefully I don't make a mistake on this, but we'll see. I think I got it. All right. I think I've got it pulled up. Yes. So anyways, we're right now, I don't know if you're able to see it or not. Probably not. It's probably going to be just on the Facebook feed, but I pulled up, I'm sharing the screen, your website, weilerinternational.com. And I'm going to click on the homepage again. Just want to go ahead and explain about your website and the updates you've done and what your website offers.
Yeah, I've made some updates because my business was heavily focused on optimizing brokerages, particularly affiliate brokerages and medium-sized brokerages that are privately owned and operated. And really, where that comes in is improving the results, right? Elevating leadership skills, looking at the business operations, and finding solutions for growth. So that could be a company or brokerage might have grown very rapidly, and the systems and the processes haven't caught up, or it's expanded into other regions that really need a different approach. You might not have that brand awareness that you have in other markets. So how do you go about that? How do you provide marketing solutions, speaking of virtual, right, that are really targeted to your audience? And that's really the meat of my offering. And I've expanded that into more of the stabilizing of the business, because that's what I'm seeing a lot of the clients and brokers and executive teams are struggling with right now, where they might have, with the breaking off business, you have to take a really, really close look at your finances and at how your business is structured. And that's what I'm finding. I'm helping clients to really take a good look, taking inventory, right? Looking at your financials, saying what is my situation? And sometimes we are so afraid of what we might find that we don't actually want to look in detail what that looks like. But taking that inventory and really determining, where am I standing today? If I'm projecting something out, where will I stand in a month if this, say, is not improving significantly? And taking that hard look at your business. And then from there, once you have a clear understanding of what you're dealing with, you can then really look at your expenses. And I'm saying I'm almost always seeing certain things that are easy pickings or easy wins. And by that, I mean, you might have started a campaign, or you have an initiative going on that might be irrelevant right now, or it might have been implemented in a way where it's not critically or it's not critically important to your success, or it's not enforced and embraced by the field, because anything that you come out on the corporate level has to be embraced by the managers, by the agents. So if you find that it was perhaps a great idea, but it's just not implemented and it's costing you thousands of dollars a month, that would be an initiative that is an easy win, right? So really looking at your particular situation, understanding what are you subscribed to, what are the ongoing expenses, maybe retainers that can be brought down, or things of that nature, to see how can I stabilize my business right now. And that, along with the leadership skills, and how can I maintain my talent? How can I keep my agents productive? How can I keep them motivated? Those are all topics that really are right now at the forefront and the most relevant of them all for most brokerages that I've been working with, or that I've seen in the industry.
No, I like that a lot. That's really awesome. And while you were talking about this important information about what you do and what your services are, I was showing everybody. I was looking at your testimonials again, and also showing people on the Facebook Live feed today, like going through your site. This is a phenomenal site, and I was thinking about it too. When sometime we'll have to schedule a call, but I'd like to personally also inquire with you as well to do a consultation. It's important, everybody out there listening today. I'm going to go back right quick to the screen. Basically, with what's going on, this is a time, like Marianne was describing to everybody and explaining what her business offers to businesses and things like and such, that this is a crucial time right now, especially with social distancing and adapting to, I guess we're going through what I would call, what I thought about the other day and said it out loud, I think to Lee, said evolution. This is evolution again of the society of human life. We're learning new ways to deal with being around everybody to prevent people from getting ill. And this is a crucial time to invest in yourself, one, invest in your business. And as far as, like we were talking about, the the video comfortability on video and things like that, as much as everybody may or may not believe it, at one time I was very afraid to record video or even listen to my own voice. And if you listen to my podcast back in November and you watch my videos last year, you will see progression in terms of the comfortability as well as the confidence. It's all about practice, everybody. And I know Marianne would probably vouch for that too. The more you practice this on a daily basis, you will be able to succeed in your business on a virtual or as a video-based business as well. And for instance, too, I've got a new lead service that I've signed up for, that I'm getting leads now where they're actually saying that it's more beneficial to get, or you'll get more quality leads if you just have an email from them and their name, for instance, and what their properties that they're searching for. So I'm getting used to now with leads that are coming through. Obviously, some of them probably are refusing to put a phone number because they're working from home or they're taking care of their children or schooling the children. So I've got to adapt to what it's like to communicate with these leads and get them engaged through email. Obviously, I can send video. Video is a plus to do. I can send them like a link to my podcast. So we just had to learn that some people are going to still, of course, talk on the phone, obviously, but we're going to have to face the reality that some of it's going to be just virtual communication through email only, or sending them a video of what your services offer, or what I offer now too. And I'm sure a lot of other agents out there and businesses offer, is that there is a video option where I can go to a property, obviously with permission from the seller and the listing agent, to do a guided tour of the property. If anybody's, of course, just to protect everybody's health and safety and well-being. So I really appreciate that today, Marianne. A minute ago when you were explaining to the listeners about what your services are and what you offer in terms of Weiler International, and again, that's weilerinternational.com. I was showing them going through each page of the website for everybody to get an idea, and I even showed them the the testimonials you have, which are phenomenal. So, Marianne, just before we get off this video conference today, just let my listeners and everybody out there know how, besides the website, well, you can mention the website again, but how do they get a hold of you to get a consultation?
Yeah, my email is marian@weilerinternational.com, which is you can sign up for the 30-minute complimentary consultation through the website. But to just like some final thoughts, and you brought up a good point there, Nick. I think what we can do right now is really asking ourselves, what are we focused on, right? And how do we provide, like, how do we focus on solution based, because that is what people are looking for in general, and now more than ever. That it can't be a transactional mindset, because even though we are all wondering where's potentially that next deal coming from, or that transaction, when is business going again, but really it has to be rich in value, and it has to be more than a transaction. It's now, in my opinion, the relationships are more important than ever, because that's what people will remember you, whether you are an agent dealing with your clients or helping them through whatever they are going through, and likely they're going through their own struggles, or if you are an executive team and you had solutions for your employees that might be taking care of children or elderly people at home. It doesn't matter in which shoes you're in, but just focusing on that relationship, providing solutions, and being understanding of what is happening, and then really pivoting your solutions overall and your strategies, and coming up with potentially a program that provides more value right now. I think those are all very important things, just as a last thought there.
I like that a lot. That was the perfect way to end this this video chat on Facebook Live today. It's I completely agree with it. It was kind of getting me like kind of emotional in my own mind. It's like, now is the time that when you're talking about solution based, not thinking about the transaction part. Obviously, that's important too. That's part of it. But offering your clients or your customers in any business an alternative to, or a solution to help them deal with the stress of the way we live life now in this world is very crucial. So, Marian, I really do appreciate you joining me today. And again, that's Weiler International. What's that? Sorry.
Thanks for having me, Nick.
Oh, no worries.
Nice.
Sorry about that. It cut out for a second. So I see you were talking, and then on the video part on my end, it cut out for a second. Sorry about that. But yeah, you're welcome. I really look forward to it. I'm going to sign up for one of those 30-minute consultations to talk to you about stuff, because I've got a lot of ideas that came in my head while we were talking that we can talk about later on. And that'll be awesome. So yeah, awesome. Everybody, this is Nick Acosta with Realtor eXp Realty, Home to All podcast, Home to All Getting Back to Business, Facebook Live, coming to you from downtown Orlando, Florida. Marian, I'll be in touch with you, and thank you again, and thank you everybody for watching. And I'll see you guys. Nick. You're welcome, Marian. Have a good day, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.
You too.
All right, bye.